And so please welcome to the show, Nathalie Cox, otherwise known as the one, the only, Juno Eclipse.
Yay!
Hello?
Hey there, Natalie. Welcome to Bombad Radio.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
So we'd like to welcome you to the program, Natalie. Do you want to be known as Natalie or, I don't know, Miss Cox? I don't know what you go by.
Her Royal Highness generally works for me. No, I'm kidding. Natalie is fine. And it is Natalie. It's a silent H, by the way. I did an interview the other day and somebody kept calling me Nathalie.
We had this discussion at the start. In Britain, I know loads of Nathalies and they all have H's, but Jeremiah was saying from an American perspective it wasn't as clear-cut, so yeah, weird.
So, I know it is Natalie. You can call me Natalie. That's absolutely fine.
So we have questions for you. Most of these are Star Wars based because you got to play, well, the one and only Juno Eclipse from The Force Unleashed, whereas lots of people my age went, you know, the female pilot that half of Star Wars fans had a crush on and everyone else had a crush on Natalie Portman. And
wow, I got half of Natalie Portman's fans. That's great. Brilliant. That's me. Yep, I played Juno Eclipse.
So I guess the first question we're going to ask is, we know you've worked with other Star Wars actors like, Liam Neeson and Hayden Christensen and Samuel Jackson and so on. So how did you get the role to be Juno Eclipse with The Force Unleashed?
Basically, it was just another audition from my acting agent, like any others. She kind of called me up and said, I hadn't done a computer game before, but I had friends that had done a few, and they'd thoroughly enjoyed themselves. My agent called me up and she said, do you want to do this computer game? It's a computer game. It's not live TV or whatever and stuff, but it's Star Wars, so it's kind of cool. And I was like, yeah, okay, that sounds like fun. And I just went along to the audition and treated it like any other acting job, really. Got a call back and got the job. So that kind of launched me into the whole computer game genre that I didn't really know what to expect. And so the more I sort of learned about how The Force Unleashed was going to be shot and what exactly it involved, the more excited I got about doing the job. And it just kind of took off from there, really.
So how did the audition process work? What did they have you do for this audition? Since nowadays people are really talking about, Star Wars Episode 7 auditions, and so, you were actually able to do a LucasArts, Lucasfilm audition. What did they have you do in this audition?
Well, they had come over to England to audition actors over here because they obviously had decided that they wanted an English actress for the role of Juno. Being an Imperial pilot, I think it's that old. She's a baddie at the beginning, therefore all baddies have to have English accents or something like that. Yeah, it's the way it goes. So I went along to a recording studio. They'd given me a few pages to learn, but not a script. Like, they're very sort of, secretive about what actually the script is going to involve. And, they sort of gave you a bit of background information, but not that much. And I sort of just went in, asked them a few questions, kind of, did it a few times. They give you pointers. Dara O'Farrell was there, who was the director on it, and David Collins as well from LucasArts, who ended up voicing the character of Proxy, was there. And they were really great and just kind of really nice, easy guys to kind of get on with and fantastic people to give really good direction. And they obviously got what they were looking for out of me. I think the irony is when I went over to San Francisco to actually record it, they showed me the concept art that everyone had done beforehand. And I looked scarily similar to the ideas that they had sort of had created of what Juno was going to look like. So I think it must have been quite exciting for them when I sort of walked in and they were like, she's English and she's blonde and she looks like the concept art. Let's hope she can act. If she can, she's got the job. So it all worked out quite well in the end, I think.
I was going to ask that the character, when I saw your picture as an actress, it's like it is literally the same person.
Yeah.
Did they show you the concept art then, or?
Yeah, well, they didn't show me the concept art till I got out there, and when I turned up at LucasArts in San Francisco, and they were like, "Oh, these are the pictures that we've got of the planets and stuff like this," and I was like, "Oh, this is quite nice and everything." And they were like, "Oh, these were the ideas that we came up with for Juno before we met you. And literally I was like, really? This is quite scary because that looks exactly like me, you know? So I think they already had a vision in mind, and I just looked very, very similar to it. And then obviously we did facial motion capture. So the character in the game is me. You know, I had all the little dots on my face, and they recorded it and face mapped it and all that jazz that they do. That's very, very technical and amazing. So yeah, it's my voice and looks like me, which is a little bit strange, but really cool.
So with The Force Unleashed, you got to work pretty darn closely with Sam Witwer and David Collins and probably Matt Sloan and Coley Fredrickson. Had you ever worked with any of them before, or what was it like getting to know them as you did with this game?
It was amazing. I hadn't worked with any of them before, and so I flew out to San Francisco, and they sort of came in from LA and places, and it was just, you know what, it was one of those jobs where everyone was just so nice and so wonderful and so amazingly talented that you kind of had to pinch yourself halfway through thinking, am I actually, this is a job? Am I getting paid for this? Because this is just so much fun. And it was just so great. Sam is an amazing actor and such a lovely guy that working with him was just hilarious. I've got pictures of us sort of, you know, messing around with the lightsabers and we did hard work as well, I have to say, but there was a bit of fun and downtime as well. But the whole LucasArts crew were just absolutely incredible guys to work with, and I feel really, really thankful that I had that experience and that I got to do 2 games with them actually, which was amazing.
And hopefully we get to have 3 games.
That is the question that everyone wants to know. Is there going to be a third? I'd love to do a third one, but I don't really have any say in it. So yeah, we'll have to see.
Butting in before Jeremiah, another question. We've had quite a lot of voice actors on, and quite a lot of people talking about this kind of situation. And it sounds, as a listener to those, because I wasn't in any of those interviews, but it sounds like different directors have completely different amounts of control and different amounts of input, and some completely leave the actors and actresses to do their thing, and some give very strict instructions. Did you find it easygoing? And for the second one as well, did you find that the attitude shifted when you came to the second one, or was it the same?
I found it quite. It's different doing voiceover stuff, you know, and especially when you're doing motion capture at the same time, even though it was only facial motion capture and you're still in the studio. You know, you're in a recording studio as opposed to being on set. I found working with Dara was really easy because he's what I call sort of a direct director. He will tell you, we need it a little bit like this, or that was good, but can you just make it a bit harder, or things like that. And that I work very well if a director tells me specifically, like, we need it a bit louder, or we need you to sound more angry, or something like that. I find it very hard when directors sort of go, that was great, we needed a little bit more, you know, edgy. And you're sort of standing there going, I have no idea what you mean. Okay. So, yeah, it's different to working on a film set, obviously. And doing the first game was my first ever sort of voice work, really. But I just approached it from the same way that I approached every acting job. And Dara was great at getting from us what he really wanted, you know. So I think he did a really good job. The second game, I don't know, it felt different, obviously, because we knew everybody. And for me, I got to go to LA that time to record it, and it was like, I sort of flew in, and it was like seeing old friends that I hadn't seen in a while. So it was a bit more relaxed, I think, and my character, Juno, is not as heavy in this second game as she is in the first game. So I felt like the pressure was slightly off me, so to speak. But the whole thing was just fantastic. I mean, I keep going on about how great it was. It really was amazing.
So, you know, you got to do motion capture in this one. Did they, you know, first question is, you know, what was it like performing in motion capture, which I'm assuming was for the first time, you know, because with all the dots on your face, it's not, you know, that easy. And the second one is, did they give you any props or any costumes in person to help you get in character, to help you with your lines and your deliveries?
Yeah, the first game that we did was the first time I'd done motion capture. And so they did spend quite a lot of time sort of explaining to me what it would involve and things like that. You kind of forget after a while that you've got these weird fluorescent dots on your face and that you have this nice little headband thing on as well that has dots on it too. Because after a while, you just forget that they're there, and it's only when you look in the mirror that you realize that you look a little bit strange. But there's no costumes and no props or anything like that. I mean, Juno doesn't really have, it's not like I had a lightsaber or anything where I would need, where it would be beneficial to feel the weight of it in my hand. So it's just you in the studio. But the best thing actually about it was that we worked with the other actors. So Sam was there when they were recording my stuff. Sam would be in the studio with me so that we were actually doing the dialogue together, and it's not just you reading a few lines into the microphone and somebody behind the glass going, thanks, that was great, one more time. It still feels like you're acting out a scene with the other actors, which was amazing.
Okay, so Jason, were you about to ask a question when I butted in there?
I was, but it's not particularly poignant now.
Okay.
Okay.
So the relationship between Galen Merrick, or Starkiller, as people would call him, and Juno is the main crux of, really, it's what moves both games. And how much of yourself did you see in Juno, or what of yourself did you bring to the character, you feel?
Well, the thing that attracted me to Juno's character when they first sort of told me really what she was about and everything is that she's a fantastic female strong character. And that's always great when you're an actress to kind of go, this is amazing, I want to be this person, because she knows what she wants. She's super intelligent. She's very headstrong. She knows her own mind. And I think I can identify quite well with that I've always known what I wanted to do with my life and kind of tried to go out and get it, regardless of the fact that I think maybe my parents would have wanted me to be a doctor or something like that. So I think I identify with her a little bit that way, but also that she has this softer side, that she meets this guy and all of a sudden she feels these feelings that she hasn't really given much consideration to before, and she sort of gets swept along a bit slightly with it. And I think most girls would agree that happens. you know what you're doing with your life, and then all of a sudden some guy comes along and everything changes. But that's what I liked most about her, and I think that's what I identified with, definitely.
We've had a discussion recently in Bob Mad Radio. Jeremiah likes to put out lots of questions on Facebook and get lots of responses back, and one of them was about strong female characters in games, and we got quite a lot of people talking about Juno as being their favourite character. I know Jeremiah always names Juno as one of his favourite video game characters of all time. I assume you must get a lot of positive stuff back when you get to go to conferences or whatever they might be, big convention type things. There must be a lot of positive feedback that you've had.
Yeah, I mean, the irony is actually that I've kind of been hidden away slightly for the past few years, and I've only really just recently launched myself on Facebook and Twitter for the first time ever. Please don't judge me. And it's amazing, the response that you get from people saying, oh, Juno's so amazing, she's such a great character, and, you did such great work with her and everything, and they all love her, and she is a fantastic character, and I can see why people would identify with her, because she's a little bit feisty, but she's got a soft heart, which is quite nice, and I think that's quite appealing. I've only been to one convention ever as well, which is awful. I went to Celebration 4, it must have been, in 2007, before the game even came out, to do promo work for it. And it was just the most bizarre, surreal experience of my life so far, I think, definitely. I didn't really know what to expect. It was amazing. I loved it. And I wanted to go to Celebration Europe when it was in London, but couldn't because I was filming, which was annoying. And this year I was supposed to go to Celebration in Germany, and again, got a film part, so I was off, too busy working, unfortunately. But I'm doing a little mini convention this weekend, actually, for the first time, which is like my first appearance, really, since the games have come out. So hopefully it's going to lead to some more, I think, and because it's so nice when you meet people who really appreciate the game and they really like it, and it's just cool to kind of sit around and talk about Star Wars.
So I guess that leads to a question is, were you a big fan of Star Wars before you were involved in the game? And if so, what was your fandom like?
I was a Star Wars fan before I got involved with the game. Not a huge one. You know, I'd seen the films and liked them and, you know, knew the main characters and things like that, and always had a bit of a soft spot for Yoda because, you know, who doesn't really? And quite fancied Han Solo when I was younger, you know. The usual things. But I wasn't a massive fan. And then obviously when the game came along, it kind of grew from there, really. So I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan in the world. By all means, I think that actually Sam Witwer probably holds that title because he's the biggest Star Wars fan I think I've ever met. He literally could tell you anything about Star Wars. He should go on Mastermind, basically, and or be my phone a friend if ever I had to do Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, because he does know everything about Star Wars. So I am a Star Wars fan, and I do think that Star Wars kind of evens the playing field for everybody. You can meet anybody and kind of get along with them, and you know, Star Wars is this wonderful universal thing that everybody knows it, most people like it, and you can chat to people about it. It's great. I think it's really good for that.
And have you, obviously, if you've only seen the films before you started work, have you changed that since then? Have you started to look a bit further into Star Wars, look at any of the books or the games or the Clone Wars or whatever it might be?
Somebody asked me the other day if I'd seen the Clone Wars, and I haven't. I
can post you them. I'll post you the DVDs.
I'm one of those people where I find it difficult to find time to watch stuff because I am quite busy and I do travel a lot with my work. But and so if I miss like the first couple of episodes or I miss the start of a series, then I like to wait and buy the box set. And then when I have like, you know, 3 days off or something, I will literally just hide away and binge on a box set of something. So it's on my list of things. It's now moved to the very top of the list because people keep asking about it. So it sounds great. I really want to get into it. But no, other than the Lego Star Wars game, I haven't played any other games other than The Force Unleashed either. So I really should. I think I need to up my game slightly and get more involved. There's so much out there.
The Force Unleashed and the Lego games are probably the best games. So
Lego Star Wars is amazing. I love it, actually. It's really good fun. And I have it on have a PSP as well, so I take that with me sometimes when I'm traveling. It's my favorite one to play. And Lego Indie as well is pretty good. Lego Indiana Jones is pretty good. So it's like combining your two favorite things.
Absolutely.
Like a really cool movie and Lego. What more could you ask for?
That's a good question. So, one Star Wars game I recommend is The Old Republic, but I put 100 hours into it so far, and I'm just past Chapter 1, so that might not be the best one if you don't have a ton of time.
Wow, that is
a good computer
pretty
as well.
Impressive. Yeah, I think I need to upgrade my software slightly. I have a couple of friends actually that did voices for The Old Republic. There's about 1,000 different characters in there, so you kind of tend to meet the same people at recording studios, and you're like, oh, what have you done recently? I did The Old Republic. Oh, really? There's like loads of characters in there, so people tend to have done something on it at some point. But
yeah. Yeah, Jeremiah tends to say everybody that does voice acting has worked on tour at some point.
Well, there's 120 voice actors on tour, and there's not that many voice actors in the world. And as I said, the original script for tour was 235 Empire Strikes Back. So
wow. Yeah.
And now it's up to 400. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of voices.
That's a lot of voices. That's a lot of time. I'm going to have to invest a lot of time if I start that game, I think, by the sound of things.
I refuse to start it.
I'll just take a year sabbatical and just immerse myself in it. And then I'll come back, and then I can be, you know, the know-all on Star Wars. So, yeah, there's stuff out there that I need to catch up on, definitely.
So now I have some questions about Juno herself. Juno, starts off as a very, she's very much an Imperial. She's very much part of the Empire, but she's also very haunted. So what sort of instructions or advice did they give you to try to capture, both duty, yet also this haunted look and sound to her voice when you first start off that game?
We did a lot of character development at the beginning before we started recording anything, which was quite nice. We all sat down at the table and we did a read-through and we discussed sort of where the characters were coming from. So I had a lot of help with sort of background for Juno, how she grew up, and she's obviously very strict and kind of was one of those girls at school who did everything by the book. You know, she's super intelligent, puts her head down, gets to work, and does a very good job with it. So they wanted to bring in this whole, you know, the softer side of her, that when she gets caught up in this, that she has that, you know, I need to do the right thing, but maybe I should follow my heart this time kind of thing. So it was just a case of sort of exploring different routes and deciding how hard she was to begin with, how direct she was at the very beginning, so that then the shift when she changes and she starts to soften up a bit would be bigger. It was just, you know, great team really that would help me along the way. And, you know, I kind of put some thought and time into it, thinking about her as a person and what she would be like. And I think she's just like most girls who are driven and successful at their job, you know, but then something comes along and just kind of turns their world upside down slightly. And how did they deal with that? And those were the questions that I sort of posed to myself. And we came up with Juno in the game, and hopefully people kind of recognize that she is slightly torn, but ultimately she makes her own decisions in the end, which I still think is the most important thing about her, that she is that headstrong, that she knows what she wants and she's going to follow it and hopefully achieve it.
Yeah.
Did that answer the question?
Yes. Yes, it very much did. Looking back at the character's background, most of the information we have on it is actually from the novelization. There's a bit in the games. Actually, I had the PS2 version of the game, so none of the dotted on the face accuracy of graphics for me, but a lot more in terms of plot, the depth. Sorry. The plot depth was greater on the PS2, but there's a lot in the Force Unleashed novel, but still it's very it's not very fleshed out. Did you sort of develop more of a background for her in your own mind? Did you sort of think, oh, maybe she was like this, and create more of a character's history for her, or did you just go with doesn't really matter? No,
I went with what they gave me, sort of about, you know, where she grew up and stuff like that, and that she went to you know, school and she did very well and she became a pilot and all that. But I fleshed it out in more emotional terms, like thinking about, has she ever had a boyfriend before, sort of thing? Has she ever met anybody before who she maybe fell in love with and didn't work out? And those, from an acting point of view, those are the things that help you bring emotions to a character, I find. I like to think about, you know, what were her parents like? Were they very strict? Did she feel like she had to go to school because they told her that this was how it was supposed to be? Or did she decide that she was good at this, so she was going to pursue it? So a lot of the emotional bits from Juno, I hope, came from me. But like I said, it was a team effort. We really worked on it as a team and came up with ideas and bounced ideas off each other, which was fantastic. And it's great to work in an environment like that, because you feel like if you say something that you think is really relevant to a character and somebody else says, actually, no, we can't do that because her background doesn't allow it. And this, you know, especially in the Star Wars universe when it's, you know, an imaginary world, it's helpful to have people to help you develop a character. And I find that very, very key to building a character from scratch like that, because Juno's never existed before. This was the best thing. It's a brand new character in the Star Wars universe. So we had a lot of fun kind of coming up with how much of a goody two-shoes was she at school, basically, and stuff like that.
So it seems like from the way the novel and the game shows it, that when she was growing up, she was very much controlled or very much followed what her parents said, and that she didn't seem to ever have any relationships. She would just seem to be very duty-bound, and then Starkiller kind of melted her that way. Is that a good way to interpret it? Yeah. Definitely, absolutely. And that's what we tried really to show in the game, that she was this, you know, she's super feisty, intelligent, but plays by the rules. And all of a sudden this guy comes along and she kind of gets swept up in it, and it's all a bit exciting, and she's not really sure, you know, he turns her world upside down, basically. And we wanted that to show in the game, that she has this conflict where she has to decide whether she's going to follow her heart or her head. And ultimately, you know, she follows her heart, really, and decides that she's going to give it all up for him, which is quite nice and romantic, really. I like that. Is there a specific scene or, you know, part of the story that you feel was really the turning point of her character from, being the duty bound to, letting her heart decide? Is there a specific scene that would you say depicts that, or where that the change actually happened?
Gosh, now you're asking me. I'm trying to think back. Please bear in mind it was a few years ago since we filmed it. There's a scene. It's just after I don't know where it's going to be and I can just remember the dialogue that they're sitting in the rogue shadow, and basically she says, "I've got the whole of the universe in front of me, and I don't know where to go," because that's the moment where she realizes she's not following orders anymore, and it's just her and Starkiller, and they can go where they want, kind of thing. And I think that's the key moment where she suddenly realizes that she's actually free and she can make her own decisions, and she's responsible for her own actions at that precise moment in time. She's not following orders from Vader anymore. She literally has the entire universe as her oyster, so to speak. I think that's a big moment. I wish I could tell you specifically where it is in the game, but my memory's not that great.
that was definitely specific enough. So in the second game, we brought back a lot of the haunted part because she let herself open to Starkiller. Then the end of the first game he gets offed, and but the second game she definitely seems a bit more mellowed out because she has duty to the rebellion and she has more friends. She's opened up to more people. So how did you approach the second game? What was the difference between your approach of the second game to her character than the first one? Like, what else did you add in there? Well,
it's like you said, in the second game, she's much more of a open person, I think. She has got these friends, and she finally, I think she realizes that she's working for something that's really good, and it's going to make a change to everything. And so she is still duty bound, and in the sense that she wants the rebellion to succeed, and she's very kind of focused at that, but she's not under this sort of like heavy cloud of the Imperial cloud lurking over her and just telling her what to do, and she just obeys the orders. She's still kind of making her own decisions, and I think that comes across in the second game. And how I approached it was that she's much freer, and she's much more friendly, and she's much more open to letting people in to her heart, really, even though she lost the person that she was in love with. She kind of still sees it, I think, as it was for the good, So I think that she's softer in the second game, definitely.
So you've got throughout the two stories this love aspect to it. How much do you think it is central? How much do you think it is a necessary part of it? Do you think that the story is actually about that romance more than it's about the story of the rebellion birth? Or I'm just curious to know to how important you think that romance was in the story.
Well, I think the romance is definitely a major part of it. I think they go hand in hand because it's because they fall in love in the first game that they decide that they're going to go off on this mission and kind of, go against Vader and stuff. If the love interest wasn't there, it wouldn't work. Juno would just go back to doing her own thing and putting her head down and getting good grades, so to speak, So I definitely think that forming the rebellion and the love interest goes hand in hand in both stories. In the second game, obviously, it's what drives Starkiller. He's constantly just trying to find her. So that connection that they made in the first one is carried over into the second one, which I think is really nice. Obviously, it's left very, very open-ended. Major cliffhanger at the end there. And I think I'd like there to be a third one so that they could have some kind of conclusion to it, definitely.
And if there isn't a third one, do we assume they lived happily forever after?
That's the question, isn't it? What happened to them? Maybe they're on some planet somewhere with they adopted Ewok or something and sitting watching telly and drinking hot cocoa. I don't know. I mean, I like to think that they are living happily ever after somewhere. Definitely. Because I think if they went through so much together that they deserve to have that happy ending. But then I'm a bit of a romantic at heart, so that would be my ending to it.
Yeah. At the moment, we've got a massively powerful force user just ended and around somewhere. So something happens eventually, I guess, but we don't know what yet.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not in a position to... I mean, I would love there to be a third game, definitely, but, I have no idea whether there ever will be. It's a shame, but that's how it is.
So at the end of The Force Unleashed 2, Juno's finally reunited with Starkiller, but of course it's a clone. Did they give you any instruction on, you know, like how the reaction was supposed to be? Because, you know, she knows that Starkiller's dead, but at the same time, though, Starkiller's here again. So did she have like the same reaction to a clone Starkiller as she did the original one, or is it more of a tentative, let's see what happens now sort of thing? Because the whole game is hinged on Darth Vader's, you know, line, you know, as long as Juno lives, I will always control you, that he says to Starkiller. So
yeah.
What was the difference between, you know, the Return of Starkiller to Juno then from the original one?
I think she's a little skeptical, you know, in the same way that General Code is skeptical as well about, are you really a clone? Are you sure? Can you clone a Jedi? You know, Starkiller gets told at one point that, oh, that's what Vader told you. You know, he made up this story that you're a clone just to kind of make you believe it so that he could control you. And so I think the way that we kind of approached Juno's, you know, they're sort of like being reunited, but she thinks that he's a clone, and there's so many questions, I think, that it's definitely, she's holding back, you know, and so it's completely different to the first game when, you know, they get together. It's like, is he real? Is he not? I thought he was dead. I mean, there's so many questions going on. So it was a tricky thing to do, actually. That was one of the harder things that I found getting my head around, how she would be with Starkiller, having thought he was dead, then knowing he's a clone, but is he a clone? But it's him. She still loves him. You know, you've got all of those things going on in your head, and I think, I mean, it's quite difficult to kind of get that across. I hope I did a good job.
Oh, you definitely did.
Oh, thank you.
And then, you know, the second game, you said it ends on a cliffhanger, which is for sure, because you end with, you know, Darth Vader secured inside your ship as you fly off, which I'm assuming, since Juno served Darth Vader and so did Starkiller, they both aren't very comfortable with him being in their, you know, their cargo hold.
Not really. It definitely could have been a better situation.
The added cliffhanger of Boba Fett loitering on the scenes and the periphery.
Exactly. There needs to be an ending to it. There was just too many questions, and I think a lot of people, you know, when they played the second game, were left thinking, and now what? You know, so I definitely think that it was a bit mean of them to leave it that way.
Yeah, so let's assume for a moment, before I go into too much of a tangent, but let's assume for a moment that there is a third one. It's going to be on the next generation of console. It'll be a PS4, Xbox One situation, and presumably there'll be more, a higher quality of graphics, a higher level of capturing detail, and more work, I guess, involved in making it. Have you been following the next generation? Are you do you know anything about the process involved or what it might entail?
Actually, it's funny you should say that, because I have been working on a game this year that is coming out quite soon. I can't, it's so annoying, I'm so sorry to do this, but I can't talk about it really, because I can't really tell you what it is, because I'm sort of bound under confidentiality. But the motion capture that we were doing was full body motion capture, and so much more advanced and so much more extreme to anything that I'd done before. It was so exciting. It's just going, like, the new generation consoles are just going to blow everything out of the water, you know. I mean, it's just, to be in the studio with these people who are making this technology happen, it's just incredible. It really is. I wish I could tell you more. I'm so desperate to talk about it, but unfortunately I can't. But yeah, the difference between working on a game this year and working on The Force Unleashed 1, which we did in 2007, is just immense. And when we did The Force Unleashed 1, we were using technology that was brand new back then. They were using, you know, Euphoria and stuff like that, which had never been used before, and everyone was so excited about it, and the graphics looked amazing, and, you know, wood splintered like wood and glass broke like glass instead of just breaking down into pixels kind of thing. So, you know, everyone was excited back then. So every year they bring out something new, and so it's just, in terms of technology, it's always advancing, and it's just so exciting to be part of that.
There was a recent footage leaked on the internet of 1313, the cancelled Star Wars project, or perhaps just put on hold, we don't know, but of using sort of live action CGI almost in having people walking around in the full body suits, and at the same time being able to move around Star Wars vehicles and things on the same scene. Was that what you were working with as well? Was that could you actually almost see the game when you were recording it almost, which I guess has never happened before?
They had basically they had a live feed almost. So you walked into the studio and you could see yourself on a TV screen as the character, and you waved your left arm and the character waved their left arm. I mean, it was awesome. They couldn't get anything out of me for about an hour as I just sort of danced around in front of the TV, getting it to do different things. You know, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be doing some work. I go, look, if I wave my hand, look. So yeah, there's a lot more freedom, which is great from an acting point of view, because you've got masses more space. It doesn't have to be in front of a blue screen. You know, you can really you can run, you can throw yourself off things, you know. I mean, it's fantastic, and you can have props and things like that, which is really helpful when you're doing something like that. And I think that will show in the games, because the games will be more lifelike and more real, and the characters themselves will be just like as if you're watching a film, you know, it's so exciting. It really is.
Jeremiah's going to kill me if I go on to too much of a tangent, but two other questions on the same thing. Just,
okay.
Are you able to tell us what year the game that you've been working on comes out, and are you going to get one of the next generation consoles, and if so, which one?
I'm going for an Xbox. I already have the money. I've saved it up. I'm getting an Xbox One because I have a PS3. So I kind of figured, you know what, I think I'm going to get an Xbox One and see where that leads me. I'm not a huge gamer. I do love computer games, but I'm not actually that good at them, dare I say that. I don't have the time to sit there for 17 hours on the go. So I kind of dip in and out of games, which is fun, and I like doing that. I'll sit there and have play for like an hour and then, leave it for a week or so or whatever. So I think that an Xbox would be quite good because there's some games on there that aren't on a PS3, which is going to be quite exciting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that actually. The game that I'm in is coming out this year. So when I can say more, by all means, if you'd like me to come back, I will quite happily talk about it until the cows come home.
Definitely.
Okay.
Excellent. So I have one more question about The Force Unleashed, and then we'll just do some wrap-up questions.
Okay.
So the other question I have, in Force Unleashed 1 and 2 and the Ultimate Sith Edition, so there's all these like alternate endings or alternate scenes. When you were filming them or creating them, did you ever, go, oh crap, I hope this is not the actual ending? Which ending are we supposed to go with? Was there any question on which ending was the real ending, or was it always, this is not the real ending, not everyone's going to die in this shot, it's okay?
They kind of gave you all the endings together. It was sort of like a choose your own adventure story. Do you remember those books when you were a kid and it's like turn to page 32 and
yep.
Then this happens and then you go, oh, no, I don't. That's
go back to 2, go back to 2.
Exactly.
I did not go through the door.
Exactly. So I said to them, I don't want you to tell me like what is supposed to be the real ending. Like I will just treat each ending as we record it as this is the ending, So obviously there are like endings where you think, oh, that's really sad. I didn't want that to happen. But from an acting point of view, you just have to go with it and kind of, treat it as it is the ending. I like the fact that it's got different endings. I think it's brilliant. I wish you could do that with a movie. If you were watching something and you go, oh, that ended really rubbish. Let's go back and we'll do the alternative ending instead. So I like the fact that they have those different endings. It makes it exciting.
Too bad every alternate ending involves Juno dying in a terrible way and then Starkiller being killed in a terrible way.
My favourite ones are always the ones where Darth Vader or the Emperor dies at the end of my favourite one is the Revenge of the Sith film. It came out the same week as the film, and one version, Darth Vader becomes the Emperor, and the Emperor dies, and you go, I'm pretty sure that's not going to be the actual version, but it's quite nice to watch.
Hang on a minute, isn't he in something else after this? You go, okay. But they brought back Starkiller as a clone, and everyone thought that he was dead in the first one, so there's always a way around it. But yeah, I like the fact there's different endings. I don't like the fact that people have to die so much. Like the people that you'd want to live die, but then that's what makes it so much fun. You don't really know what's going to happen.
That's true. So we've talked a lot about video games. So we're going to wrap up with a couple of questions. You've also been able to work on quite a few big films, at least as far as our audience goes. You've been on Clash of the Titans, you've been on The Kingdom of Heaven, you've been on Jumper. what was it like working with, a lot of your parts in these films are a bit small, but what was it like working with people like Liam Neeson and Samuel Jackson and Hayden Christensen, Ridley Scott, all these like big directors, and being part of these massive films?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, Kingdom of Heaven was my first ever acting job, really. My first official one, I suppose. And I really did not know what to expect. And I sort of flew out to Spain where they were filming the very first bit of it. And it was this massive film set, and somebody comes to take me to meet Ridley Scott, and I'm sort of sitting there going, oh my God, this is the guy that did Aliens and Thelma and Louise. Just try and hold it together, oh, hi, nice to meet you kind of thing. And you're trying to be all cool and calm, but inside you're actually screaming. It is amazing to go on film sets. I still can't believe I get paid to do this as a job, Liam Neeson is the most wonderful person ever. He's so nice and so lovely, and I met him on set on the first day of Kingdom of Heaven, and he was just really lovely and kind of made me feel at home because I really didn't have a clue what I was doing. And the irony is, of course, that I only filmed 2 very small bits, and the bit that survived the cut is the bit that I'm dead in. So I don't do much in Kingdom of Heaven, although I make a very, very convincing dead body, apparently.
Well, the director's cut, you have a little bit more.
I have a little bit more in, but yeah, I went.
Your head.
Sorry?
You still lose your head, though.
I know, I still lose my head, which I think paved the way for a great career. A lot of the things I've done, I've died in. So I'm afraid I'm being typecast slightly. She does a good dead body. Let's get Natalie in. But yeah, it was great. And Liam actually remembered me when I worked on Clash of the Titans again, which was really lovely. And that was amazing to work on because we had the most incredible outfits, amazing hair and makeup people. And the set was just mind-blowingly good, and to be on set and see Liam Neeson and Ralph Fiennes working together. They're so incredibly talented. Just to be able to watch them, it was like acting class 101. You just sort of sat there and drank it in, It's just brilliant. Working on things like that is amazing. Hayden Christensen was absolutely lovely. Really great fun to work with. We had so much fun. We shot it in Canada, even though the bit that I'm in looks like it's in London. The magic of the movies, people. It's just so much fun, and they are really nice people. Somebody told me a story actually about Liam Neeson that he was doing something, either a play or something like that, and somebody was waiting for him at stage door and wanted an autograph. And they said, can I have your autograph? And he was like, yeah, that's fine. And they pulled out a Star Wars thing. And he turned around and he's like, always with the Star Wars. And it's kind of true like that. I think when I go on jobs and people sort of have seen my CV and they go, oh my God, you're in the Force Unleashed. That's so cool. You're Juno. So it kind of helps, breaks the ice.
Off the back of that, I suspect you won't like the question, but Kingdom of Heaven and Clash of the Titans, I think they're absolutely fantastic films. I think they're underrated even, as big as they are. But there is a film that's coming out in the next couple of years that has got the attention of a few of our listeners, shall we say. How much would you like to work on Star Wars Episode 7, and are you trying to get that gig, or is it something that you just aren't thinking about?
Oh, God, are you kidding? I'd love to be on it. Who do I call? Does anybody have Mickey Mouse's number? Because really, I think that my agent needs to give him a call. I would love to be in it. I think, I don't know. I can't even fathom where they're going to go with it, what they're going to do, because it's all changed so much, with Disney taking over and everything. It's just it's just so big now and so vast that I can't even begin to think where they would begin with it. I'd love to, I would love to be up for a part in it. I absolutely would. And, obviously my agent knows that I am a Star Wars fan, so I'm sure she's working hard to get me through the door, but I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go with it. I mean, do you have any ideas? It's so huge now because it's not controlled. It's controlled by Disney now, and which just changes everything, really. We'll just have to wait and see and hope they don't mess it up.
I think we do have some ideas, but we'll see what actually comes about. But if Lucasfilm are listening, I think we must make the point that you'd make an absolutely great dying Imperial. I think that has to
Thank you very much. Yeah, I make a great dead body, and I can do all my own stunts. I can fall down and then stay down. It's amazing, really. I should do a show reel with just my dead body bits on it. I think that would be great, and just send it off to them.
Okay, so I think I need to wrap it up now because I could ask tons of questions about Kingdom of Heaven, Clash of the Titans, and so much. I could just go on forever, but I think that'll be for a different interview.
Yep.
So I guess the last question is a question we ask every single guest. We always give them the soapbox so they can promote any upcoming appearances, any upcoming projects, or a cause or charity, anything they want to talk about. So we're going to give you the soapbox. You can promote or say pretty much whatever you'd like to the fans. And, well, it's promote what you wish because, this is where you can do, like, conventions or movies or advertisements really about chocolate.
Have you seen my Toblerone ad?
Maybe.
Maybe, yes. Oh, that's really hard because the thing is I'm doing this convention this weekend, but obviously this is going to be going out probably after the convention's finished.
Where's the convention anyway?
It's down in Southampton, or near Southampton in Hampshire. Right. It's a small one. It's for charity for Click Sergeant, which is the children's cancer charity, and also raising money for the Children's Cancer Ward at Southampton General Hospital, which is why I kind of got involved with it because I actually grew up very close to there. So when I kind of found out it was for charity and stuff, I thought, maybe I'll just dip my toe into the convention scene and see what happens. But I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be really good. So hopefully I'm going to do some more afterwards if I get invited. So I will have to just keep you posted, really. And obviously I would promote the new game that I'm in, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. So I feel like I've been gagged majorly. I'll just have to come back. There you go. And
I think we'll do that. So what about how people can contact you? You're on Twitter. You're very active on Twitter and Facebook. If people want to ask you questions or see what you're up to, where can they contact you?
Facebook and Twitter is the best way. I do answer Twitter messages, that people send. And it is me on Facebook. I post all my own stuff. I don't have somebody doing it for me, kind of thing. So my Twitter is at Nathalie Cox, and you can find me on Facebook from there, kind of thing. But I love it when people come on Facebook and they're like, "Oh, could I just ask you a question about Jumper?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure," because it's great. It's just nice that I can talk about those things and that people have enjoyed the work that I've done. It's always nice.
Not so much Star Wars.
Mostly it's about Star Wars, but I don't mind. I love Star Wars, so it's great. But I'm going to get onto the Clone Wars. That's going to be my new thing. I'm going to have to watch the Clone Wars, and then basically all my Twitter feed will just be about that, and everyone will be like, "You're about 5 years too late," but I don't care. So the Clone Wars is going to be my next big thing. Thank you, guys.
Season 5 only comes out in a fortnight in the UK, so I've pre-ordered it, but I can't get onto it for another 2 weeks. So that's how long you got to watch 4 series of the Clone Wars.
2 weeks to watch 4 series. I can do that, I reckon. I mean, I might have to cancel a few jobs, but I think it's doable.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So thank you for being on, Natalie. We'll have to have you on again to talk about Kingdom of Heaven, Clash of the Titans, Jumper, your future project, all sorts of questions that I just have that we don't have time for. So thank you for your time. I know you're really busy, and this is really appreciated.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I would absolutely love to come back if you want to have me on again. That would be great. It's been great fun. Thank you very much.